For the vast majority of human history, our survival depended on fighting off invaders. The biggest threats to our lives did not come from within, but from external pathogens breaching our biological defenses. This chart shows the scale of those modern external threats. Joint killers like malaria and AIDS claim 600,000 lives a year each. Diarrheal diseases take over 1 million. But lower respiratory infections top the list, wiping out 2.5 million people annually. Surviving these infections require immense resources. A single bout of tuberculosis can force a family to spend over 20% of their income on treatment. People fall into debt, sell their livestock, and pull their children out of school just to stay alive. Keeping ourselves alive has always meant fortifying our physical borders and fending off these external systemic attacks. But we recently won a massive biological victory. Today, more people on Earth are obese than starving. Our bodies are built for scarcity. For millions of years, finding a single meal required immense physical effort, so we evolved to aggressively hoard every single calorie we could find. And then, practically overnight, we surrounded ourselves with an overabundance of calories. We industrialized our agriculture and flooded the aisles with cheap, ultra-processed options that require almost zero physical effort to acquire. We loaded these meals with fats, salts, and sugars. Our brains love this density. It makes the food incredibly hard to resist and highly addictive, leading most of us to constantly overeat without conscious awareness. By solving the ancient problem of starvation, we trapped our biology in an environment it isn't adapted for, manufacturing a lethal internal threat. We usually think of fat as a passive battery, just sitting there storing excess energy, but it is actually a complex endocrine organ. It actively produces and regulates hormones, sending constant chemical instructions to your brain, your liver, and your immune system. Most of it is subcutaneous fat, the soft, insulating layer under your skin. But the danger lies deep inside your torso. This is visceral fat, a dense tissue that tightly packs itself around your internal organs. Because it is woven directly into your core, visceral fat dictates the daily operation of your entire body. As you consume excess calories, these visceral fat cells swell to their absolute physical limits. Eventually, they bloat so much they outgrow their blood supply. They get starved of oxygen, become critically stressed, and die. These dying cells leak a toxic slurry of fatty acids and stress hormones directly into your bloodstream. Your body reads this as a massive biological emergency and calls the immune system to fight off the damage. This chart illustrates the scale of that invasion. Armies of immune cells, called macrophages, swarm the fat tissue. In a lean person, immune cells make up about 5% of the fat. In an obese person, they multiply and consume up to 40% of the space. Unable to clear the stress, these immune cells stay permanently active. They release molecules that cause chronic inflammation, ripping countless microscopic wounds into your blood vessels and sharply driving up your risk of heart attacks and strokes. Carrying excess visceral fat effectively tricks your immune system into a state of endless panic, waging a constant war against your own healthy tissue. The chaos soon spreads to your hormones. The inflamed fat floods your brain with leptin, the chemical that normally tells you you are full. But with so much leptin screaming at once, your brain builds a resistance to it. Your internal food thermostat breaks, leaving you feeling intensely, constantly hungry. As the stress signals spread, cells all over your body stop responding to insulin, the hormone that lets them absorb energy from your blood. To compensate, your pancreas pumps out more and more insulin until the overworked production cells simply break down. This is the breaking point: type 2 diabetes. Without functioning insulin, your blood becomes permanently saturated with unabsorbed glucose, leaving your starving cells exhausted while the excess sugar tears through your body. This systemic damage shaves an average of 10 years off your life. Your kidneys fail, your nerves die, and in the US, excess weight is now linked to nearly 10% of all cancer cases. Pushing your fat organ past its natural limit results in a total multi-organ collapse, causing a scale of internal devastation that mirrors the very worst external pathogens in human history. This graph maps a grim macroeconomic trajectory. If current trends hold, up to 1 in 3 Americans will have diabetes by the year 2050. But unlike the permanent scarring left behind by many historical plagues, the toxicity caused by your own fat organ is almost completely reversible. The moment you start losing weight, those bloated fat cells shrink back down. They stop suffocating. Your immune system calls off the attack, the inflammation fades, and your blood sugar drops back to normal levels. Shedding that excess visceral weight has very little to do with aesthetics. It is the exact biological mechanism required to stop an internal emergency and reclaim decades of healthy life. Just as repairing your body requires swapping out hyperpalatable junk food for real nutrition, repairing your focus means trading passive scrolling for a diet of active, challenging ideas. That is exactly what Brilliant is built for. It is an interactive learning platform designed to keep your mental metabolism sharp by teaching you through active discovery, prioritizing problem solving over watching lectures. And if you are ready to tackle your physical health without the guilt, we created the Health Journal. It provides a clear, science-backed framework to systematically rebuild your daily routines, whether you want to focus on nutrition, fitness, or your mental well-being. You can find links to both in the description. Your biology may be wired for a world that no longer exists, but you have the tools to override those defaults and take permanent control of your own ecosystem.